If a civilization from 1,000 years in the future were to dig up our phones and look at our camera rolls, they would probably conclude that we worshipped a race of small, furry gods. I want you to open your phone right now. Scroll past the random screenshots and the occasional forced selfie. What is actually taking up most of your digital storage? If you are anything like me, you are carrying around hundreds, maybe thousands of photos of a creature that is fundamentally not human. We push them in strollers. We bake them intricate birthday cakes. We look society dead in the eye and proudly announce that we do not want human children because we already have our dog or our cat. Society often laughs at this. People roll their eyes and call it a silly coping mechanism, a harmless game of pretend played by lonely people. But I started looking into the raw neuroscience behind this phenomenon, and what I found completely shattered how I view human connection. It is not pretend. Psychologically and biologically, your brain does not know the difference. Welcome to the Psychology Guy. I am so glad you found your way here. If you want to understand the hidden psychological truths that secretly dictate your behavior, please hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel. It gives me the massive motivation I need to keep uncovering these mysteries for us. And trust me, you will want to hear where this story goes. Now let us look at the undeniable chemical reality of your love. Evolution installed a very specific, unbreakable line of code in our biological hardware. It is a concept called the baby schema, or neoteny. When you see something with huge, expressive eyes, a large round forehead, a tiny nose, and clumsy movements, an ancient alarm instantly goes off in your nervous system. It demands that you keep this fragile creature alive at all costs. Human babies eventually grow out of this phase. They get lanky, their features sharpen, and they stop looking like helpless infants. But your dog or your cat, they are biologically designed to remain trapped in a permanent state of infancy. When you look into your pet's eyes, your brain is successfully hijacked. It immediately floods your bloodstream with a massive dose of oxytocin. This is not some poetic metaphor. If we put you in a brain scanner and watched your neural pathways as you stroked your dog, the chemical signature lighting up on the monitor is virtually indistinguishable from a mother holding her newborn child. When you call yourself a mom or a dad to your pet, you are describing the literal chemical reality of your blood. Have you ever looked at your pet and felt a sudden wave of aggression? A bizarre urge to squeeze them because you cannot handle how cute they are. That is known as cute aggression. It is your brain frantically trying to regulate a literal overdose of love. You are experiencing an emotion so intensely powerful that your neurological circuitry is short-circuiting. But it goes much deeper than biological hardware. There is a profound psychological reason why we lean into this cross-species parenting. It centers around the concept of the forever child. If you have a human child, the painful truth of your job is to raise them to leave you. You teach them to walk so they can walk away. You teach them to speak so they can argue with you. Human parenting is an agonizing process of letting go. But a pet is the exact opposite. They are the child that never leaves. For anyone who carries a quiet fear of abandonment, or needs absolute permanence in an unpredictable world, a pet is the perfect psychological sanctuary. They will never pack their bags for college or forget to call you. They stay in that purely loving toddler phase until their very last breath. They offer a relationship beautifully frozen in time, providing a bond that is entirely safe from the inevitable pain of growing apart. That biological guarantee of permanent safety leads us directly into the most fascinating, and frankly, the most vulnerable part of this dynamic, the human mind holding the other end of the leash. Because biology is only the hardware, attachment theory is the software running quietly in the background. To understand why we treat them like our children, we have to look honestly at how exhausting it has become to interact with other human beings. Human relationships are incredibly complex. They require constant maintenance, a careful filtering of our words, and a relentless navigation of shifting expectations, judgments, and moods. Society forces us to wear an endless rotation of masks depending on who we are talking to. But when you unlock your front door at the end of a brutal day, your pet does not care about your career trajectory. They do not care if you said something awkward at a meeting or if your bank account is running low. They offer you a blank slate of pure, unadulterated acceptance. For someone who finds the chaotic friction of human interaction draining, a pet is the ultimate psychological antidote. You are drawn to this dynamic not because you are avoiding reality, but because you are desperate for a safe harbor in a world that constantly demands you prove your worth. But as I dug deeper into the psychology of pet parenting, I realized that we are not all doing this for the exact same reason. Our pets act as mirrors reflecting our deepest unspoken psychological needs. I want you to listen closely to these 3 profiles and ask yourself which one genuinely describes the reality of your relationship. First, there is the guardian. If you are the guardian, you are the fiercely anxious protector. You are the person who sets up a camera in the living room just to watch them sleep while you are at work. You stress over the exact ingredients in their food, and you panic at the slightest cough. Psychology tells us that you are an individual with a beautifully high capacity for empathy. But you are also carrying a massive, suffocating load of anxiety. Your pet has essentially become your external heart, living and breathing outside of your body. When they are safe, your nervous system finally regulates. You micromanage their world because the outside world feels terrifyingly out of your control. And keeping this one innocent creature perfectly safe brings a vital sense of order to your internal chaos. Then we have the soulmate. If you fall into this category, you do not just care for your pet. You engage with them intellectually and emotionally. You have full conversations with them, and you firmly believe they understand the emotional weight of your words. You are the person who would genuinely rather spend a quiet Friday night on the couch with your dog than attend a loud, crowded party. You are likely an introvert, a deep thinker who values profound, quiet connection over the exhausting, superficial noise of modern networking. You treat them like your child, but also like an equal partner in your peace. They allow you to completely drop the heavy armor you wear for society and exist in your purest, quietest form. Finally, there is the Redeemer. The Redeemer is the healer. Maybe you found your pet when they were abandoned, sick, or terrified of humans, and you patiently, painstakingly brought them back to life. This is one of the most noble forms of psychological projection. By saving them, you are often quietly attempting to heal a fractured part of yourself. Every time you show that broken animal patience, you are desperately trying to prove to your own mind that the world is capable of grace. You look at a creature that the world threw away, and by dedicating your life to making sure they never feel that pain again, you are actively repairing your own faith in humanity. And that brings us to the absolute deepest, most heavily guarded layer of why we elevate these animals to the status of our own flesh and blood. It all centers around a psychological phenomenon known as reparenting. I want you to pause and really think about the exact tone of voice you use when you talk to your pet. Think about how gently you praise them. Think about how you look them in the eye and say that they are good, that they are smart, and that they are entirely safe here with you. Now, I want you to ask yourself a brutally honest, perhaps painful question. Is that how your parents spoke to you when you were small? If the answer is no, or if your childhood was defined by harsh expectations and emotional distance, then you are using this beautiful, wordless relationship to rewrite your own history. You are subconsciously giving this animal the exact patience, validation, and unwavering safety that you desperately wished someone had given to you when you were vulnerable. Every time you buy them a ridiculous, expensive toy, you are quietly healing the part of your inner child that went without. Every time you drop everything to sit on the floor and hold them tight when they are trembling from the sound of a thunderstorm, you are essentially going back in time to comfort the version of yourself that was left alone in the dark to figure it out. You are not just being a quirky pet owner. You are actively breaking a generational cycle of emotional neglect. using an entirely different species to prove to yourself that you are capable of providing the profound, unconditional love that every child deserves. Because we pour such a profound, healing love into these creatures, the eventual cost of that connection is a devastating, almost unbearable grief. This is the darkest, most painful reality of treating an animal like your child. When the inevitable happens and that incredibly pure light goes out, you do not just lose a pet. Your brain literally loses its primary source of oxytocin, its daily rhythm, and its safest emotional anchor. The silence that fills your home is not just quiet. It is heavy, suffocating, and terrifying. Yet, when you try to explain this crushing weight to the outside world, society is often devastatingly cruel. Coworkers expect you back at your desk the next day. Acquaintances tell you that you can always just get another one. People look at your shattered heart and dismissively say, "It was just a dog," or "It was only a cat." In psychology, we call this disenfranchised grief. It is a profound, life-altering sorrow that the culture around you refuses to acknowledge, validate, or respect. And because society does not give you permission to mourn, that grief is forced inward, making it infinitely harder to heal. I want to stand firmly between you and that dismissive world for a moment. I need you to hear this from me, and I need you to internalize it. Your pain is absolute reality. You did not lose a hobby, and you are not being overly dramatic. Your brain lost a child. You lost the only living witness to your most private, unmasked self. And your sorrow is as valid and sacred as any human loss. When we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, this deep psychological bond makes perfect sense for our current era. We have to acknowledge the reality of the world we are trying to survive in right now. For the Millennial and Gen Z generations, the traditional blueprint of a successful life feels incredibly out of reach. We are staring down soaring housing markets, immense economic uncertainty, and a future that often looks more frightening than promising. The classic milestones of buying a large home and raising a human family are being delayed or entirely abandoned due to the crushing weight of modern financial stress. But here is the beautiful truth about human nature. The profound, biological instinct to nurture does not just evaporate because the economy is struggling. That deep desire to care for something, to pour your love into a smaller life and watch it thrive, is still burning intensely inside you. It simply needed a new place to go. By channeling that fierce caregiving energy into our pets, we are actively redefining the entire concept of the modern family. For thousands of years, family was strictly defined by biology, lineage, and survival. But you are a pioneer of a completely new emotional landscape. You are proving that family is no longer just about whose blood runs in your veins. It is about who provides a true sanctuary for your soul. You are looking at a creature that looks nothing like you, that cannot speak a single word of your language. And you are making the profound, spiritually mature choice to say, "You are mine and I am yours." There is absolutely nothing foolish about that. In a world that can be so incredibly harsh, transactional, and cold, choosing to give your whole heart to a creature that only knows how to love is the purest, most honest choice you can make. If you have ever been saved by the quiet love of a fur baby, and if you know exactly the kind of deep, unconditional connection I am talking about, please hit that like button. Let us show the world exactly how many of us there are out there. And if you are ready to keep exploring the deep, hidden corners of human psychology with me, make sure you hit subscribe. Let us build a community of thinkers who understand that love, in all its beautiful forms, is what truly keeps us alive.